Hello everyone. Today we have the honor of inviting a world-renowned dermatologist, Dr. Patrick Bitter Jr. It's a great privilege to have you with us. Dr. Bitter, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. We're truly honored to have the opportunity to learn from your vast experience and expertise and insights in aesthetic dermatology. My first question is, how often do you visit Korea, and have you noticed any significant changes in Korean aesthetic market during your visits?
Well, Dr. Ko, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you today in Seoul. This is my 5th visit to Korea since my first one in 2002. And back then I introduced IPL for skin rejuvenation. Over the 20 years and the visits I've had with here in Korea and meeting with many aesthetic doctors like yourself, and I'm not the only one, because other doctors in the United States that are cosmetic doctors like I am feel the same way. Korea has really established itself at a very high level of aesthetics, especially non-surgical cosmetic treatments. And over the 20 years, as I've met doctors, I would say on this visit, I am very impressed with the level of expertise, the level of knowledge, and the level of skill in aesthetic procedures in Korean doctors.
Well, let's move on to your clinic. Could you please tell us about your clinic in San Jose? What is the size of your clinic, the number of staff, and the key treatment programs you offer?
Well, I have a dermatology cosmetic practice. That's all that I do now. I have been 38 years as a dermatologist, and now my practice is dedicated to laser and light treatments, particularly BBL treatments for skin rejuvenation everywhere on the body, and also injectables. Neuromodulators and injectable fillers. I have 10 treatment rooms. I have a very large room for education. I have 7 different BBL systems in my room. I do have 2 nurses that practice with me, also providing some of the treatments as well. And it's typical for me, we'll see 30 patients in a day, doing most of them BBL, and the others getting neuromodulators and fillers. And that's my practice now, and I'm in Silicon Valley.
Oh, you also delivered over 600 lectures as a world trainer across the globe. Is there one particular lecture that stands out in your memory, and what made it special?
Wow, you've asked me a challenging question there. I lost count of
one of the 600 lectures.
I would say I have really enjoyed every lecture, the international speaking that I've done, the teaching that I've done, and there isn't one that really stands out as much as and they varied so much. I've had audiences of 600 people and audiences of 2 people. I think what really stands out the most for me for all the lectures I give is when I can look at the audience and I can see the eyes open and I can see the heads going like that as they appreciate a new concept and how they begin to realize how it can affect and benefit them and their patients that they see. And I've had so many lectures that have been that way.
So you cannot choose one of them, the special
I've had
memory.
so many special memories and so many special lectures. The last 2 that I've given have been here in Seoul, and I've been joined by 3 colleagues that have had a very special Korean perspective on BBL and a Korean perspective on laser treatment. And the last 2 that I've done here in Seoul on my visit have been very, very special.
Yeah. You're, like, as we talked, you're known for engaging lectures and what is your secret, and could you share some tips on how to deliver a great lecture?
Thank you for asking that. Every time that I have an opportunity or privilege to stand in front of an audience and share what I am passionate about, I want to make it valuable for the audience. And I need to, number one, start by knowing who my audience is. So my 2 lectures in Seoul, one was all dermatologists, all cosmetic dermatologists. The other was cosmetic doctors and plastic surgeons. And when I know my audience and what they're interested in, then I can deliver that. And then the other key is that I'm speaking from personal experience. I am sharing what I learn every day from my patients in my practice. And my patients who I do a BBL treatment on, they come back 1 month later and they tell me how much they love what I did. And I look at the formula, exactly what I did different. They tell me exactly what they loved about it. And then I get the opportunity to stand in front of an audience of doctors who are like me, seeing people that want beautiful skin. And I get to share with them what I know works for me. That's what I do when I give a lecture.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it depends on your real experience of treating patients and the results. Let's move on to about your wife. We've heard that your wife accompanies you to many of your lectures. Could you tell us more about her and the role she plays in your life and career?
Well, I have been blessed to have met my wonderful wife, Abla. We've been together 12 years. So about half of my career of teaching and lecturing. So I know what it was like to make trips to Japan and Korea by myself. And I can tell you now, at this point in my life, where next year I will be 70 years old, and I'm with a wonderful partner, my wife, I don't want to not be away from her. I don't want to make trips without her. And then she has been a wonderful partner to help me prepare even better for the audiences that I teach to. She enriches the experiences when we come to Seoul and have an opportunity to meet wonderful doctors. And she is a person who I've had an opportunity to do a lot of treatments on. And I've learned a lot from doing treatments on her. So when she comes and people can see how beautiful her skin is, and then they know her age, and they know how many treatments she's had, it adds to the credibility. It adds to the trust of me that when I stand up there and I'm telling people, this is what I do, and then they see my wife and they know I did that for her, people trust you and they value what you say more.
Wow. After delivering lecture here in Korea yesterday and the day before yesterday, what are your impressions of Korean doctors? Already you mentioned a little bit, but do you notice any distinctive characteristics among them?
There are several things that do stand out in my mind. One is the very high level of knowledge and of non-surgical cosmetic treatments. 2 is a very strong interest and desire to learn as much as they can that will benefit their patients, especially in the areas of where my expertise is. BBL treatments for non-invasive rejuvenation of skin, BBL for forever young, for slowing down aging. The third thing is the how respectful they are of my viewpoint as a U.S. doctor. And the fourth thing is how young so many of them are. And the fifth thing is how nice their skin is. I've been very impressed at how beautiful the skin is. So either they're doing treatments on themselves or they just have been blessed with very nice Korean skin. So those have been my 5 impressions that I've had from the last 2 days.
Let's move on to the device. subject. You seem to prefer pulsed light over lasers. We think like that. Could you explain the reason behind this preference?
I have so much experience with pulsed light, and in particular broadband light. I've done well over 50,000 treatments. I've easily spent several thousand hours actually doing treatments. And in the US, that's very exceptional for a doctor like me. Most dermatologists, most plastic surgeons, they have somebody else do the treatments. And when you have someone else do the treatments, you don't learn. It would be like if you have a very nice car, but somebody else drives it and you ride in the car. You don't ever learn to drive a car better. So different than almost all the doctors that are my colleagues in the US, and what I found here in Korea, the doctors actually do the treatments, much more like I am, that I have the experience of doing the treatments on thousands of people for thousands of hours. I love what light does. And after working with broadband light for more than 20 years, I am more amazed at how special broadband light is. I would even tell you, Dr. Ho, that broadband light is magical. And why is it magical compared to a laser? Lasers are one color, as you know well. One color, one wavelength of photons of energy. Broadband light is thousands of different wavelengths of photons, all at the same time, and they have a very special effect on skin. And the more I work with it, the more I am impressed with what light does.
Let's move on. Let's continue the concept of the BBL. So you are the creator of Fotofacial. Could you share the story behind its creation and how it has evolved over the years?
So the Fotofacial name I created, and that name was to describe using pulsed light in a special way to treat the entire face for skin rejuvenation. And I came up with that name because, number one, there were very few doctors in the world that had pulse light. At the time, maybe 200. And they were all dermatologists, plastic surgeons. And they were largely trying to use pulse light to make spots go away. I'm not a spot doctor. I'm a skin doctor. I love making skin look like young people's skin, transforming it to look healthy and clear and smooth. When you treat spots, you didn't get that. But pulse light had a bad reputation because it was difficult to make spots go away, and there were complications with it. So I created the Fotofacial name to distinguish what I was doing with pulse light from what other people were doing. That was at the very beginning. Saiton introduced broadband light. Shortly after I introduced Fotofacial treatment, I began to work with their version of light, and I was able to do things that I couldn't do with other pulse light devices. Treat a face much faster, do multiple passes, do different settings at each treatment. And the evolution of the process has been driven, the improvement in the Fotofacial process has been driven by improvements in the technology. Saiton introduced the original BBL in 2004. Then they introduced BBL Hero, 4 times faster, special settings. It allowed me to create protocols that I could only dream of doing 20 years ago. And now they're BBL Heroic, which is 12 times faster and 99 times faster than what I originally was doing. 99 pulses in what I previously could only do 1 pulse. That has completely transformed the protocols and the technique. And the end result for people who get BBL is easier treatment, faster treatment, and clinical results that 20 years ago we only dreamt about being able to get. So that has been the evolution, that people get BBL now. I've been so fortunate compared to 25 years ago.